Due to the ignorance of our host, parental discretion is advised.
Yeah, I haven't freaking done a podcast for like a year of my own. Just like started writing the book probably a year and a half, actually.
Yeah.
And
you miss it though?
Like, need to get back to it, but I've been doing a lot to promote my book.
Yeah.
But it's just so time consuming. Went from I coach high school wrestling, so that's 6 days a week.
Yeah.
Freaking Fridays and Saturdays are all day at a tournament. And then I go right into junior high wrestling till like mid-April. Then met her, figuring out the wedding stuff.
High
and then,
schooler, right? I mean, I can see.
And then I moved out to Harriman, and they needed a football coach. So now I'm head football coach for 9th grade team. I'm like, man, I can't get away from this.
when you gonna put the pause on your life there? I was gonna say. But by the way, Rob Eastman back on the podcast.
That's right.
We're excited to have you. I got a lot of stuff to talk about. Talked about moving.
Yeah.
We have a mutual individual that knows you and us. We won't say his name on the podcast, but we can talk about it after. But he's like, "Oh yeah, Rob moved." I'm like, "He moved?" And I was like, "Well, of course he moved. We're building a fucking highway in his backyard. Why wouldn't he move, for God's sakes, right?"
Yeah, man, that was a tough. Like, it was the most peaceful place on the planet. All you heard was frogs, cows, horses, or coyotes.
Yeah.
And we're like 3 minutes away from Farmington Station. And then next thing I know, they're like, they're building the freeway right there. I was like, it'll happen later. Like 2 months later, they'd have the double pole semis. I'm not kidding, 1,000 trucks a day ran over my horse fence twice. And I'm just like,
wait, is it us?
Yeah, it's us.
Well, don't say, if you know who it is, don't say it.
Don't say, because we don't talk about the company. We don't say our company name. We work for one of those companies, because it's a joint venture. So
he's well, I got
so you know how big the production is.
Yes.
And that's one of the only access points. And it's like, at night it was okay, but it was so dusty. My horses, I've got 5 horses, and they're just getting disturbed. Their health's going bad. I'm just like, man. And the market was sky high.
Yeah.
So doubled the money, get out and start a new chapter.
Did they buy any land from you?
No.
UDOT?
No.
So you're right, because you're really, really close.
Yeah. So right on the corner of my property, there was a fire hydrant. And the guy came out, and they were talking about the plans cut through my property. We came out to meet, and he's like, "Yeah, no, we're not messing with that. We're gonna buy this guy's land." So it was like cool. Then so we sold it, and there's that tennis court up the street, and the guy who owns that, they bought it so they can just walk to work, and it worked out for everybody.
So Harriman now, huh?
Yep. Went from farming to Harriman.
Harriman's not bad though, is it?
Oh, I love it.
It's not bad.
But I
It's
mean,
nice
going from, by the way, I've lost my voice, anyway. But I mean, going from, where exactly?
Davis County.
Davis County.
Born and raised up in Bountiful is where I grew up, but the farm's in Farmington, obviously.
Yeah.
Yeah, we live in a beautiful home, nice area. We're on the west side mountain, so it's my directions are off. I'm always like, oh man, I got to look for the mine.
Right?
So,
it's nice out there.
Yeah,
very nice out there.
Really cool. They have everything you need.
Yeah.
And the beauty of it is moving out of a county that you've lived in your entire life, that your dad owned car dealerships and was a state senator, to where nobody knows you. It's so nice.
Oh, I can imagine.
So nice.
I can imagine. Again, so I said we know a guy. His dad was in the car biz as well, and so I think that's where he kind of knows you from. We'll talk after the fact, but he's like, "Yeah, he's gone." I'm like, I don't blame him. I don't blame him one bit. So.
And then also, before you move, remember what was it, like 2 years ago when we had that crazy wind?
Yeah.
And all your property was it damaged or were you trying
to get your
horses
ready? It blew
a
20 by 12 piece of my barn. Like, it took like 6 of us to lift it, but it blew it like it was a napkin up over onto my fence. it was a disaster. So I'm out there with a helmet on trying to like secure it, and things
Motorcycle helmet on.
things were blowing by, man. It would have killed me. And so yeah, that was a lot of cleanup because out there's nothing around me.
I was gonna
So
say,
it's
see,
not.
I live in
when the-
Bountiful, and if you grew up there,
Yeah.
you know the winds between the
and then
Centerville,
imagine
Farmington.
out on the flats where nothing.
yeah. Yeah.
It is so much more violent down there. So, but it's pretty cool. Little
Did you
nature.
got rid of everything, huh?
Yeah. Gave the horses to my niece and gave the chickens to the realtor. And then the funny thing, you guys can look up goats on the roof in Farmington. My goats would go up the back stairs, jump onto the lower roof, and jump onto the upper roof. So they'd be running around like a skate park. And
You got some parkour fucking goats, huh?
and somebody called the news about
Of course.
animal endangerment or
course.
something, and then KSL came out and spun it a little bit, and so we got some news footage off of our goats. But they
Did you get in
went
trouble?
no.
They're goats.
Yeah, I was like, have you ever seen pictures of goats standing on a 1,200-foot
ghost
dam
goats.
licking
on a
the salt?
rock,
Yeah,
right?
These goats are the goats.
yeah, they're gangster, man.
So, I mean, since the last time you're here again, you've moved. We're going to talk about the book you wrote. You've been a busy. You got married.
Married to an amazing woman.
You,
She's got a book coming too.
Oh, wow.
Oh, okay.
And she didn't even want to be on the podcast.
Come on the podcast. We'll
Come on the podcast.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
we'll get her back.
I saw you with those beautiful kids. Shout out to the Lake Talk kids.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I got
Oh,
a
you're
funny
Fonzie's
picture. I'll
daddy
have
too, aren't you?
I'll have to show you this picture that I don't know if you guys looked at my. I don't know if we put that wedding picture up yet. Anyways, I was thinking about wearing a kilt because we went and got married in a castle.
That
in
you went to the
Scotland.
motherland,
Yeah.
right?
And I'm like, and you really get into kilts and like the full suit, you're like $1,000. And I'm like, I'm never gonna wear that again. So I ended up getting a custom suit from Mr. Kenneth Boggs. He's a bad dude. I saw him fitting Sean Whalen.
Oh,
and so
wow.
I hit him up and he came right to the house and they measure you from ankle up. And it is like, I want a Conor McGregor suit. So I got a nice fitted suit, and me and my brother, he had one, and we're at the top of the castle. And I sent it to Fonzie, and he's like, "Man, you guys look just like us." And he had cropped our heads off and put him and his brother. It's so funny. It's classic. So yeah, I love those guys.
He's they're pregnant now. Fonzie.
Yeah,
Having a kid,
it's exciting.
I guess.
I mean, are we surprised? I mean,
Well, I mean, ever since we went to their show, they were like, "Oh, I think we're gonna try for another one."
Oh,
And
yeah,
it's
that's
taking him
right.
this long, so
That's
maybe
right.
it doesn't work. Whatever. Why would you get married so far? This fella right here got married in Vegas at a parking lot.
yeah, it was $50 at a liquor store parking lot.
Yeah, that sounds
God's sakes.
a little more money efficient.
And the Mormon, the other, the wife's side of the Mormon family, they were so proud of their granddaughter. They're getting married in the Temple of the Bells, and there's Larry's Liquor in the background.
Already a child. She's the flower
Yeah,
girl.
I had the bastard child there. I had the whole film.
Already it's a flower
That's
girl.
perfect. That's perfect. Yeah, so we were gonna go. We got engaged and we were just gonna elope, and we were going to Mexico. And my family was talking about doing a genealogy trip over to Scotland, and she's like, "Let's get married on the beach." I'm like, "How many people got married on the beach?"
Yeah.
And then I'm like, "How many do you know have been married in a castle?" And she's like, "Okay." So we started looking, and I'm a descendant of William Wallace. One of
Oh,
the
shit.
Major players in keeping Scotland.
Oh, shit.
Braveheart and all that. So Googled it, and he has this awesome, they have a monument in Stirling up on this hill. There's like a cathedral on the side, and then this tower. How tall do you think it is? 400 feet? I don't know. 284 steps up a spiral stairway, and I'm talking it's like shoulder to shoulder all the way up. We booked they call it the Crown, and called around, got a bagpiper.
Holy
And
shit.
so we flew in a couple days early. My buddy flew over from here, who's a professional photographer, and we went to Edinburgh, went to a couple of Killen, and then went over to Stirling, and it was just unreal. And just everything about it. We got there, she's got her dress, we go up, it's raining. We go walking in, they're like, "No,
Yeah,
you got to
it
pay to
didn't
come
look sunny
in."
at all.
Yeah, and we're like, no, we booked the top. And they're like, we have nothing booked. And we're like, yeah, 9, 10,
Oh, no.
9, 10, 23. They do day first. Month.
Yeah.
So they're like, no, you're October 10th.
That's how Mexico does it.
Yeah. And
That was something was taught.
yeah.
That was taught.
And-
Like for me to say, hey, when you write your date here, first is your day, then your month.
Yeah, so we're like, are you kidding me? We got my mom, my sister's brother, her mom, her sister, all flying in. And we're at that point, we just had just such a cool experience. And we're just like, whatever. And they came back like 2 minutes later, and like, no problem. They closed off one room for us. We're all like, it's a national monument.
Right.
Kicking people out, set us up. And like, that would never happen here. They're like, no, sorry.
No.
We don't care. We hadn't even paid yet. We paid like $100. And then she comes back and she's like, you haven't paid. And we're like, oh, we'll pay right now. She's
Maybe
like, you
they
probably
saw you
won't
as a
need all of
redhead.
it. Cuts it in half.
Maybe they saw you as a redhead. They're like, check this
Yeah.
out.
You're like, yeah, you look like it.
Yeah, you own this.
What happened to your voice? Like, oh, sorry. I didn't mean to. My wife's from America. She doesn't know.
My last.
And went up there and it's raining and we're just like, oh shit. So we got up there before everybody else, and we were with the photographer and the bagpiper, and the rain made the floor shiny and the wind's blowing through, so her veil's blowing out. And we just started taking pictures, and then I'm like, hey, play some music. And the first tune that he hit, dude, it was just like the most spiritual experience we've ever had. It was unreal. Coolest pictures ever. You could never duplicate that,
Right.
even if you wanted to, not even on a Hollywood set. And then we go back down because our moms are getting older, and it was a freaking climb. And we're waiting, and then we go back up. It stopped raining. Clouds are coming through the castle. Like, it was stupid. It was crazy. It was magical.
Wow.
Like, to describe it, it's like, we'll show you some pictures. It was just insane. And then we toured around Scotland for another 10 days, and Ireland, and did it up. So
How long ago was this?
like a week ago, 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, not very long ago. Boy, you're making me sound like a real asshole right now. Thanks.
Hey, make sure your wife doesn't listen
Yeah,
to
holy
this
shit.
episode.
Yeah, September 10th was the day.
That's
So,
crazy.
yeah.
So how many people did you have coming?
It was just a family trip. So me, my mom, Heidi, my brother and his wife, my sister and her husband, and then my other sister.
Okay.
And so they had it all planned out from 23andMe or whatever, where our living ancestors are, where they lived. And we wanted to go, like my great-great-grandpa worked at, what's that place? I know, but what? Glasgow? This college is 400 years old. It looks like Hogeldorf's
shit.
or whatever that stuff is. So we went in, see where he taught and what he did. And it was cool.
Wow. Wow. What an experience. I can only
And
imagine.
yet not a goat inside. Yeah. Not a goat inside.
Oh, well, congratulations.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
It looked amazing though. Even though it's like it looked rainy, and all I could see, like when you guys first started posting the videos, my first instinct was like, oh, it's wet, and she has a white dress. I was like, oh, that's gonna ruin it. But
Yeah.
looks like you guys pull it off.
Yeah, she was a trooper. She had a expensive $8,000 dress from New York. And
Christ.
You're on the
And I'm
wrong
like, baby.
podcast, dude.
like,
Yeah,
baby,
Joe Rogan.
like, you're going to get it ruined. She's like, I don't even care. We're in a freaking castle, and this is insane.
Yeah, I mean.
So we
if-
draped it out, and she just got it back, and they got all the dirt out of it. And so, yeah, it was cool.
That's nice.
One of a kind, for sure.
Is there a place you would like? Let's just say you're gonna renew your vows. Would you do?
Well, the way I got married, probably the front yard of our house, man.
Do it
Let's
up.
Be real. But, no, absolutely. And again, like I'd love to go to the motherland. You know,
Yeah,
we've done
that's
the
right.
whole genealogy. In fact, we were just talking about that, and I'm enough English that I could be in the royal family. Like I'm that high English. They call me a lord. Like, I'm a
Yes.
certified lord for sure.
Love it.
But that'd be pretty cool out there. But you know, I've always wanted to go to Scotland or Ireland.
Yeah.
That fucking place is just amazing.
Dude,
If that's the case, I get married on a Mayan temple. That's all I got.
They're closed though. They're closed though.
Oh yeah, that's right, just the outside. I'm not that close.
as long as you wear a mask.
talk to us about the book. I mean,
Yes.
2 years coming.
Yeah.
What, first and foremost, when do you like, I'm going to write a book?
So, I got in recovery in 2009. Shortly after that, 9 months later, so the first 9 months of my sobriety, my wife left me. The bank came and took everything I owned, and then my dad died. And that death was like, he was just an amazing man, right? Just a powerful spirit. We didn't have any recordings of his voice. We didn't have hardly any writings. It's like our memories that's all we're going to have. We kept his phone on for like 2 years so we could call it and listen to the voicemail.
Right.
Mm-hmm. So when, I go speak in schools and stuff like that, and every time they're like, do you have a book? Like, why don't you write a book? And I'm like, man, I was like a 1.3 student. I ain't writing shit. Like, no thanks. So that's why I started the podcast.
Right.
Like, my daughter can hear my voice. She can hear what I believe in and all of that. And that kind of grew. And then it came to a point about 2 years ago where I was just thinking, like, I've been working so hard in the schools and mental health and all this stuff, but it's going to die with me. Like, if I don't put this down somewhere, leave something for not just myself, not my family, but anybody else who struggles. And as we know, people don't like to talk about that stuff.
Yeah.
And the ones that do are in very small circles and an AA meeting or something.
Right.
And so I called around. I was looking for a ghostwriter who could write my story. I'll tell my story. I'm a good storyteller. Right. And I met a lady, and she's pretty high end, and she wouldn't like just let me hire her. She's like, no, I want to meet you and come to my book retreat. Local? And yeah, but New York level lady. And so I went to this book retreat, and I get there. It's in Bear Lake, big mansion house, right? They do retreats there, and I get there. There's like two old ladies sitting in the front. I'm like, oh, this is cool, whatever. And I'm waiting kind of at the door for everybody else. Another lady. Ends up being 13 women and me. And half of the books are being written about narcissistic male. I'm like, oh man, I'm in for it. So.
Yo, are we talking about me, my story, or just me in general, right?
And so, but when I was there, it's like when we tell a story, people are listening and they can see our body language and all of that. But when you write a story, if you're talking about the way a couch feels or something smells, like they need to feel that in your words, and I didn't know that, and so it kind of just sparked something. But we became really close during that time. She's like, I'm absolutely gonna write your book. So we went and locked ourselves up in a condo at Snowbird and did dictation for 7 days, telling my story. And the nice thing about having somebody who is a book writer is they prompt you with questions that tell the story in book format. So I've told my story a million times on stage, but it's not in a way that there's no timeline, there's no peaks and valleys, there's no,
you're all over the place.
Yeah. And so they would write a chapter and send it to me, and I'd read it over and make sure that it felt like me. And first one comes back, and of course they're high level writers, so they're writing big words and things like that. I'm like, if I don't know what it is, we're not putting it in. I want a 10-year-old to read every word in this book and know. Like if I'm reading something and I got to look up 4 or 5 words in a couple sentences, like I'm out. Book's down.
Yeah.
Like I don't want to feel dumb, and this is something that I was bullied, picked on, made to feel stupid, ugly, all these things. It's like I wanted to speak as a 6-year-old and as an 8-year-old and as a 10-year-old. So. And it was crazy. After about the 3rd chapter, it was freaky that it's like it was word for word how I would have said it. Wow. Like they learned me so quick. Went on and it's pretty long for a memoir, but it came together so good, and I went all in. Like it'll be the most vulnerable book you will ever read in your entire life, and it talks about bullying, suicidal ideation, shame and fear and judgment and religion, politics, divorce, drugs and the whole deal. And I owned a lot of shit through that, a lot of healing in that book.
I was gonna say, and
it got to a point in the book at the end where during my addiction, I had a incident or something happened to me. I was passed out and woke up to another man doing something to me. I'll let you read it in the book, but that almost killed me keeping that in. Like, I'm never going to fucking tell anybody that.
Right.
Are you kidding me? No way. It's like when you do a fourth step in AA, it's a fearless moral inventory and sexual misconduct and all that stuff. And that was the one thing I didn't put in there. And that haunted me for a year. And it got to the point, and I put it in, I started reading that chapter, and it brought it back. And I got to a place, I'm like, dude, this just kills me. People are going to judge me. People are going to, and so I called my lady. I'm like, you know what? I think we're going to finish this. I just want a copy. I'm going to give one to my daughter, and I'm just happy I wrote a book. She's like, this isn't about you anymore.
Yeah.
Like, they were so invested. Like, people need to hear this because it's not just your story. You're just the first one to be brave enough to be that vulnerable and tell it. And so I was just like, I really struggled for a bit. I went to a dark place. Just getting towards the end and finished it out and sent it off to some reviewers, and I sent it to, some young kids to see if they would identify with it. And I sent it to some high level people, former governors, stuff like that are religious, and that I wanted to see if they'd take it personal. And everybody came back and said, this is the best written book. I cannot believe what you put in this.
Oh, shit.
So then obviously the fear of, what if you put it out and it bombs? You're going to be an idiot. Yeah, you wrote a book. Nobody gives a shit. And so you guys will be the first to know. When does this go out?
Monday.
All right, so I can say it. So we put it out on what day? 26th? 27th. And
Yesterday. Right?
yeah, yesterday. And for some reason, the book wasn't ranking at all. Nothing. We've put out podcasts. We've put out all this stuff. And I'm just like, no big deal. I've got other publishers reached out, like, something's wrong. You're not in category, something's wrong. And I'm just calling my lady, and they're like, no, we're good. It's like, this is a busy time in Amazon. So I'm just like, whatever, nothing by the end of the day. Wake up this morning. She's like, we got one of those countries back. She's like, you're number one in France. Number one bestseller in 7 categories. And I'm just like, of all places, that's probably my least favorite place in Europe, but I'm going to go back. I'm going to go speak.
Rob's like, they got castles.
So I'm like, that's cool. And in Canada, I had some people in Canada, right? My buddy that does a big top 100 podcast and stuff. And it's coming in, and it was low ranking, whatever. And no numbers had come back out. She's like, it'll be okay. And we got a call about 2:00. And she's like, I got some numbers. And she's kind of quiet. And she's like, I'd just like to let you know that you ranked in 28 categories. You're first place in 7 of them. The numbers are insane. She's like, so now you're officially an international bestseller.
Holy shit.
So it goes bestseller, which is top 100, and then number 1 bestseller, and then international bestseller, and then number 1 international. So that's like New York best time seller, right? So you want the top one. So we've already hit it. It's not even been 30 hours yet.
I was going to say, it just came out yesterday.
Yeah. And then we went and got some tacos at Street Tacos right before we got here. And she called.
Yeah.
And
We're going to Cecil, man. We're going to tacos to celebrate.
And she calls and she's like, are you ready? And I was like, yeah, let's go. And I'm number 1 in 5 countries. I got the number 1 international bestseller, and it's just unfucking
What
real.
a fucking ride, dude.
Yeah.
Wow. Congratulations.
So
Congratulations.
you guys get that first.
Get
Nobody
that.
else
You heard it here
knows.
first.
Nobody knows. Now you know. And it just goes to, that's when it reassures you, like, you're not, I tell everybody, you're not alone. But sometimes you feel alone. Even the guy on the stage feels alone. And that just reminds me, I've got a big tribe out there.
Yeah.
And it's not just here in the U.S. I was like, when the numbers came out in the U.S., I was like 226. She's like, this is way behind. Don't worry about it. And that's what she calls. She's like, you got your home country. So number 1 here, Canada, France, and I think the UK. And UK is the second biggest market in the world behind India. She's like, most people don't ever rank. So most people just maybe get to a bestseller. She's like, this is insane.
Wow, man.
So
Now, did you know this because of you wrote a book, or you knew this before?
which
Like all these India stuff, like the status.
so
and
she told
the
me today
stats.
that I was number 5 in the UK, and she's like, I'm like, well, what do we got to do to get to 1?
Yeah.
You know, 5's not good enough. You know, how many books? And she told me, she's like, most people never even hit bestseller in the UK. So shout out to my VA. I have an awesome virtual assistant, and she's from the UK. So she came over and did a bunch of content for us at our wedding. Her partner and her baby, they drove 6 hours and came over and cruised around with us. And it was just, it's so cool. Podcasting, social media, you get to meet people all over the world and have access. And it's just like, yeah, it's surreal right now. You know, just some drug addict that shared his story. It's like, I was talking about it today with Court McGee from the UFC. Yeah. And I was telling him why I want to get to bigger stages and things like, he's like, yeah, but it's not as intimate. And I'm like, man, just think about when you can't do this stuff anymore and you gave to everybody else, what do you got for your family? Yeah. Like, we got to put it into programs. They got to read the book. And then if they want to do more, I need to have some kind of a program that teaches them the same things that I talk about in the book. I need to be able to go and speak in front of and make enough money in 45 minutes that would take me years of pretty much free mentoring people. Absolutely. You know, addicts don't have money. Right. Families that call you by the time they've expended everything they have left. And it's like, nah, my family deserves to get theirs too. And my PhD in what not to do almost cost me my life. Right. I should be able to do the same as any other doctor, So it's going to be, really a book is only just the tip. It's a business card. Right? Like, you don't get to be running these circles if you don't have, they're like, do you have a book? Okay, call me when you do. It just doesn't matter. They don't care about your story, right? So it's just, you can write a book, but if you don't get these ribbons, it's still. But now I'm one of the guys. The price of the book gets to be with the big boys. It'll be at the front table at Barnes and Noble and have that #1 international, and that's pretty freaking awesome for
that's so crazy
a dipshit.
Is there hard copies of this?
That'll be coming out. So we do the push on the digital copy to get that, so you can put that #1 international on the hard copy. So that'll be out in a week or two, and let the games begin.
What a cool experience and cool, path to run where you were to the point where like, let's just put the book out. I'll give it to my daughter, yada, yada. And somebody had the guts to say, no. Yeah. There's something here. Yeah. And now here you are right now where you're in the midst of like, holy shit.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And that's what she's like, it's just barely started. You have no idea.
Do you owe it to the story or do you owe it to the lady?
The story, we both put in a ton of work. She basically,
what's her name?
Bridget Cook
Nielsen. I'm just kidding.
She's amazing. And Hannah Lyon helped out. And we just teamed up. We met every Thursday on a Zoom call and went over the chapters and changed things up. And it's a lot of work. Especially it's 35 or 36 chapters.
Wow.
361 pages.
Holy cow.
So there's a lot of people, like all the players in the book, ex-wives who got to tell their story without me protecting myself. And, I went all in. And for me, that's scary, but it's one of those things that, like, if we want to change the way anything is done for our kids, then we got to tell our real story.
Yeah. So did they interviewed like your ex-wife?
My mom, my brothers, my ex-wives, their moms, like.
Oh, this is all in the book too?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
So I wanted it to be like, there's my story. There's your story, and then there's what really happened.
Right.
And so at the start, I have to say, hey, I don't hate the church. I don't hate anybody. This is my story. Right. Don't take offense.
Right.
Like, hear the message. And, it was, like I said, probably the most healing thing I've ever done in my entire life.
It's cool how you went, you did it your own way, even though you never wrote a book before. Like the fact that you just said, oh, I don't want those big words there. Like, I want to use my words.
Yeah.
And that, like, I would have never even thought about that. Yeah. I would have been like if I wrote a book, for example, and someone did that, I was like, oh yeah, that's legit. Because I don't talk like that. So
I don't know what that word means. That sounds smart. Leave that in there.
He's like, no.
But you're right, because if I haven't read very many books in my life. I've read a few, but I get a chapter in, I'm like,
Yeah,
because
it's
I don't know what that means, and I just I'll watch TV because I know what that means, right? But if I can digest it, to me, because like you, man, I 1.8 GPA, I didn't finish school, I went and got a GED later on, and all that bullshit, but to read something interesting and take something that, I get that, I can see that in me, because I mean, at the end of the day, rather you were a drug addict, or you just got bullied, or rather you just don't really love yourself, to be able to take that and like, man, you're right, I'm not alone.
Yeah.
And here's the $1 million question. You're a podcaster. You're going to do audiobook?
Yeah.
You are,
So
I was gonna ask that.
are you going to...
I was going to, and again, I started, and I got the prompter, and I was sitting in my closet, because they said go in your closet, because the clothes absorb it, and put the top over, because when I moved to her house, I didn't have a podcasting room. Mm-hmm. So I'm in there, and start getting nervous and insecure and mumbling words and clap, so they know that's a screw up, and started the sentence again. And I tried 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 times, and I was just like, this is never going to get done. I don't read books. I think I've read 2 books, and it was during 75 Hard, because you had to. I read Think Like a Monk, which is awesome, by Jay Shetty, and Green Light by Matthew McConaughey, who was a hell of a storyteller. Besides that, like, just the thought of reading 361 pages for a non-reader, like, no. So I finally threw in the towel, and I said, give me some cool male voices, and I'm going to pick one.
Oh, but don't you think that takes it away, though?
I'm going to do... So Matthew McConaughey's book, he tells the story, but then in between he gives his version. Like, he pops in for 30 seconds and says, this is it. So I'm going to do some pieces like that, so they have that. But at the end of the day, it's like, it'll be probably 7 hours of listening. That would take me 170 hours to perfect that.
Yeah.
And I don't know if there's some AI things that can, like Snoop Dogg's on one of these. You can put a book in to it, and he reads it to you.
No shit, are you serious?
Yeah. What is it, Speechify? He's all, hey, I'm going to be your man. It's so funny. So I listened to him read this book forever, and I don't know if we can do something like that. But, yeah, I really wanted to do it, but it's a lot, and I got a lot going on. So I'd rather get it out and get the message out, and if they want the real thing, they can hire me to speak on stage.
That's nice.
Who we going for? Who's got a sexy voice?
He's on me.
He's the hellbound. Right now I do.
No, I mean, I'm talking legit.
I'm gonna get Sam Elliott.
Yeah, who's that? Sam Elliott.
Sam Elliott, dude.
I love that dude.
Sam Elliott. What's the guy that does
Morgan
Darth
Freeman.
Vader?
Yeah, Morgan Freeman. That'd be a good one.
Darth Vader.
Oh, yeah, what was the guy that did? Oh yeah, you could do what's his name? Who was Darth Vader's voice? James Earl Jones.
Yeah.
Oh,
No, that's not him.
Yes, it was.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it was.
He's good.
yeah. Maybe we get Bane to do it.
Bane.
He's all.
You were born in the dark.
I was born in the dark.
There were my goats on the roof.
I did not abuse them. Beautiful.
Hey,
I love it.
Do you find I see your videos, and I see you're doing like all these speeches at the high schools and stuff like that. I'm sure that you get a lot of people that want to interact with you. They kind of, they kind of feel connected to you because of your story. Do you also find people that are like, oh, fuck this guy?
Yeah, usually parents.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So
wow.
I won't say who it is, because he's
Say it right now.
pretty high-end dude. But I went up to Morgan, and I've done the same speech I've done for 10 years. They shipped in. I did 4 assemblies with 500 plus students in each one of them. Kids loved it. Like, standing O. Like, I felt like a rock star. I had a 5th to 8th graders. I walked in. I'm not kidding you. They were screaming at the top of their lungs like they just saw their favorite singer. And I'm like, I am never speaking to anybody but 5th to 8th graders again. I was puffed up. But anyways, I share, and because I bring up the church, things like that, I called back
It's so tough
the following day, and I said, hey, how was the response? And she's like, the kids loved it, but we're in a lot of trouble. And the district's going to be calling you and they want footage of your speech. I was like, for what? It's like, because you talked about the church and some people aren't a part of the church and it offended them. And I'm like, it's literally like 3 seconds where I said that I was getting baptized with my dad, and it was the greatest day of my life because the adults told me that my life was going to change. And to me, that meant I was going to be smart. I wasn't going to be bullied anymore.
Right.
That's it.
Yeah.
Like, that was the experience. Come to find out, this guy's like one of the head dudes at one of our ski resorts. His son's 18 years old, one of the biggest bullies in the school, goes and throws a fit because he's an anti-Mormon and tries to get the lady that hired me fired, tries to get the principal in trouble. It's like, if you can't handle a speech and your son's 18 and that's a problem, that's the problem.
Yeah.
Don't go cutting heads. Like, so dumb. So I got right on the phone with the superintendent and said, hey, where do I need to sit? Like, nobody's getting fired because of what I said. I'm like, I'll send you whatever footage you need. So it's usually that, but kids really, you can hear a pin drop with 1,000 teenagers in the same room.
Wow.
They're always like, we'll try and keep them quiet. I would just smile. Within 3 minutes of my speech, everybody's at the edge of their seat. Like, and I do this thing. It's a really cool app that they can type in the 6-digit number and ask questions anonymously. So at the end, they're like, does anybody have any questions? No teenager's going to raise his hand. Like, I've been thinking about killing myself.
Yeah.
Right.
I'm on drugs. Dude, I'll get 70, 80, 90 questions and just sit and answer them in live. Boom, 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 real stuff. And it's like, nobody's getting up and leaving. Everybody's in their seat. Everybody's typing on their phone. And it's like,
What a brilliant way to do this.
Right?
because I would always do Q&As and nobody would dare ask anything.
Yeah.
I'm like, so finally I started handing out T-shirts. That cost me a bundle. Kids like, hey, I've been thinking about, I masturbate.
We do the same thing on this podcast. Who wants to come with us? We don't get any response.
Yeah. So we found that, and then it tracks the data and all of that stuff. So I have, it's just really cool way to do it. I send out surveys to the parents, to the teachers, and to the students so they can see how far off what they think they know, what they think's going on in their home, or what they think's going on with their kids in class. And then I show them the students' answers, and they're like, parents are 10. We know everything. Our kids are great. They don't need mental health, anything, blah, blah, blah. 99% are like, anxiety. I think about hurting myself. I'm addicted to A, B, C, and D. It's like, so who's lying here?
Right.
Yeah.
Like, if we don't, and then parents are mad at the teachers, and the teachers hate the parents. It's like, we got to come together.
Right.
You know, these teachers that don't get paid enough have your kid and 1,000 others just like them every day. You can barely stand them for half the day.
Yeah.
Like, they're disrespectful, they're rude, they're like, and then the teacher's going through something, and then every kid has a different day. It's like, that's a lot. And if you don't have a team of people backing you up, supporting you, everybody's fighting everybody, nobody's going to want to do it.
Yeah.
So now they get a half-graded education because the teacher's pissed off or the kids are rude and the parents are overworked. It's like parents, they want to be the coach. They want to be this. They're wearing too many hats. Do what you do well and hire out the rest.
Right.
Like, that's why it's called the village effect. Like, let the village raise the kid. Quit being so freaking red tapey.
Right.
It's like, man.
Would you say every kid goes through something, or there's that one pony out there that is completely fine?
I think that there's a rare breed and like maybe single digit of kids that just kind of like blissfully things come easy to them and they're just kind of even kill, but life's going to kick your ass regardless. Yeah. So I say, when I open my speech, I always ask everybody, how many of you personally or know somebody who deals with anxiety, depression, suicidal thoughts, addiction? Stand up. Every single time, every butt is out of the seat. Yeah. And the ones that are the most messed up, they're looking around to make sure that they're not going to be the first ones to stand. But then it's like, "What?" And then I'm like, hey, look around the room. They all look around. They're like, geez. I'm like, all right, now stay standing if you feel comfortable talking about those things. 99% of the butts are back in the seat.
Yeah.
And it's like, we have one thing that we share in common. Any race, money, doesn't matter. We all struggle.
Yeah.
That should be the easiest conversation of all. But what do you do when you struggle? You isolate, you lie, you put on a mask, that fake face, the fake smile. I'm doing okay. Like, how are you doing? You want to be like, I'm fucking terrible. But you're like, nah, I'm good. I'm getting through it. Yeah. You're lying. So at what point are we going to stop lying? And that's kind of what I want to bring to them. If they see a dude like me up on stage sharing some pretty vulnerable stuff, but the part about being vulnerable is that you got to take the action on the other side.
Right.
And that's where it gets hard. That's where people use the attention seeking through. They're either worse than or better than, and it's ego works both ways. People understand that. It can be, oh, I'm better than everybody, or I'm worse than everybody. It's the same thing. So until we get to that place where like, nah, you have a problem, let's work through it. And it's not a big deal. You got to go to the psych ward for 6 days, and like we just got to catch it before it's a crisis. Like,
Do you have these conferences with the kids and their parents, or they're just the kids?
yeah, so I've started doing because I'd go and share, and I'd get this response, and kids reaching out and writing me at midnight saying they're thinking about hurting themselves. I'm like, are you home? Yeah. Well, they don't dare talk to their own freaking family. Some stranger that came and spoke for 45 minutes, they're telling me the deep, dark secrets. That's a problem.
Yeah.
It's not a problem. I'm happy to help, but it's a problem that you can't do it in your own freaking home. So I was like, something's got to change. So I got some of my buddies that are life coaches, therapists, things like that. So I took a group of kids and gave them my speech, and then they went into a breakout session. And we have this program where it's just circle the answer. It's like, what mask do you wear at home and with your friends? I'm the funny kid. I'm the sad kid. Like, it gives them an opportunity to see these coping skills that they're using that are bad. When do they use them? All these things. And at the end, there's this, called like a feelings word wheel. It's like sad. Like, how do you feel? I'm mad. Why? I don't know. And then it goes out and it's like, I'm embarrassed. You hurt my feelings. It teaches them the proper vocabulary to explain what they're feeling rather than just being mad. And then the solutions on how to work through that, life skills. So we get that, and then we'd come back like a week later after they did the packet and took it home and did it with their parents, and then come back, and they were all like in junior high, openly standing up, sharing things that like, oh, I'm addicted to pornography and I'm da-da-da-da-da, right in front of their classmates. And it was cool. Nobody laughed. Nobody made fun of them. They were all hugging. And it's like, if we taught from kindergarten to 4th grade how to be nice, how to love yourself, self-awareness, appreciation, meditation, and then get into the color paintings and all that other crap,
Right.
Imagine what type of little kids we'd have. Not getting bullied and beat up on the playground because they're different. Different's great. If we were all the same, we'd all be dumb and dull.
Yeah.
So we got to appreciate that stuff. It's like the little kid with a scar on his face, like he was born that way. Or the short kid or the tall guy or whatever. It's like, we didn't get to pick this.
Yeah.
You know, if there's a fat kid in elementary school, guess what? It's probably because his parents are overfeeding him. They're coping. They're probably big. It's like, it's just bleeding down from generation to generation. And what are we going to do? Got to do something. So that's what this book I just felt like I just needed to go all in. I'll take the lashback that I get, but I know that the love and appreciation that I'm going to get is going to just outweigh anything bad that comes. And the ones that are bad, they get to go look in the mirror.
Yeah.
Must have touched something on them. You know?
We all grew up here. And Angel came from Mexico, but growing up here, and I'm not going to label it. I was grown up around all religious individuals, right? And when I went to school, I didn't get anybody that would come talk to me about some of the things like that.
Yeah.
I got guys that would bring fucking birds and fly across, and people that would cheer or whatever, but nobody ever talked to you about, like, you okay?
Yeah.
And it's okay to not feel okay, but how do we fix that, right? So,
yeah, they bring the cop in to scare you about all the consequences of if you did something wrong. It wasn't like, hey.
And all that did
all
was
screwed up.
intrigue me.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh.
Yeah. This is your brain on
serious.
I
drugs.
gotta do it so he doesn't find out. Yeah, yeah.
You know, and then
I actually got the cop and like back home. He was more of a, hey, we have a conference per se with the cop, and then he's like, just so you guys know, there's kids your age that are doing this and that. We're like, okay, but he wasn't like that, right? Like, he wasn't.
Yeah.
Like, and let's not talk about those kids. Let's talk about you.
Yeah.
That kind of thing.
Yeah, we just have a lot of unrealistic expectations of wanting to be perfect or impress our parents, because I think a lot of parents never shared their fails, never made it okay to not be perfect. They just like, I don't want my kid to be like me, so we're going to go hard here.
But that working class of those people taught their kids.
Yeah,
like our parents.
It's
that's
not
just
even
the
there.
way it was.
Yeah, and that's the thing with my book is I didn't want to put blame on anybody. I took 100% ownership and know that this is this is what it is. But now I know. So how can we as a community change things? So it's like I used to get after my mom. If you would have just let me fail earlier in life, then I wouldn't have blah, blah, blah. Like looking back, like they did everything they knew to do. People didn't talk about mental health. Nobody knew what rehab was.
Yeah.
So, and people kept secrets in their basement. Like your kid's a punk. Like we ain't telling nobody. Do not ruin our family name. So, and I think it's, we give Utah a hard time, and there's some counties in Utah that are pretty tough, keeping up with the Joneses, bigger houses, nice cars, whatever, living off a credit card. But I think you go anywhere. You go to Boston, the Catholics are probably pretty tough. Oh, yeah. Pretty tough, Yeah. And the Bible Belt, and, I think it's just that rather than, have you guys ever read or listened to, and if you haven't, Outwitting the Devil? It's an insanely powerful book, and it's this guy who really believed that he had this conversation with the devil, and it's two voices on the Audible, and he asked the devil, Outwitting the Devil, and it's like Napoleon Hill, one of the most famous writers ever. It's awesome. But he talks, the devil says, okay, you want to know how I control 98% of the community? He's like, I use teachers, I use church leaders, and he's like, when people teach out of fear, I control them. When they teach out of faith, I can't touch them. So how many times have we been fear-based? If you do this, you're going to catch, you're going to go to hell. All that type of stuff.
90% of the kids who grow up, that's how they were taught.
Yeah.
It was just fear.
So it's a power. We drive to my gym still in Centerville every morning. So we got at least an hour drive.
Oh shit, that's right. You go from here to Centerville, that's right.
So we're listening to it. And we're just like, pause. Are you like, it was just punching us in the face like, holy crap, everybody should read this freaking book. And it was so strong that he didn't even put it out because the devil warned him, if you put this out, you will be damned, not by me, but by all these people that you're going to expose. So they didn't put it out till him and his wife were dead. And the foundation, it was written in 1930. No, 1930. 1930, and they didn't release it till 2011 out of his foundation. Like, it's insane. Teachers. So you go to school, you don't work in groups, you take tests silently alone. What do you do in the real world? You sit around a round table and you whiteboard it. So we're taught to sit still and don't do this, and you're grounded and all these things, and that's fear-based, and it's crazy. It'll make you a different parent. It'll make you question and hopefully change the way, like, that generational trauma that we keep passing down. It kind of gives you a good view at like what your parents must have gone through. It gave me a lot of love and compassion for my parents and what they had to go through and what their parents had to go through, the Great Depression. It's like, they're pretty tough people. Yeah. And nobody had anxiety back then. You weren't allowed to.
Absolutely not.
like,
Different world. And obviously, I feel bad for my kids. I mean, I have young daughters, and every day they go to school and they come back, and I talk to them about their day, and I just like, God damn, man. I mean, I thought I had it tough as a kid. Yeah. Don't even compare to what you guys have to deal with.
Behind a fake account. Back in the day, if you wanted to bully, you had to do it to my face, and you were a pretty good chance you're going to get slapped, or I was going to get slapped. Yes, but at least we had to figure it out. Absolutely. Now it's bad.
Don't let our kids get online. Good. It's one thing that we do not do. And I mean, I have a teenager, and she rebel against us. Like, I want a phone, I want this. I'm like, I just don't think that shit's good for you right now. Yeah. Because even as a 42-year-old man, I see that. I'm like, hey, my fucking feelings are hurt, and I don't even know this motherfucker, right? Like, for Christ's sake. He's 12, for God's sakes.
Yeah. Yeah, it's tough because everybody's blasting their best self, and
that's what it is.
Sitting on the front of a Ferrari at 21, and really it's just somebody else's car, and he's making it look like his. So it's just not real, and these kids are feeling left out. So I was like, how many followers? I ask the teenager all the time, like, how many followers do you have on Snapchat? And they're like, 1,000. Like, how many from the school? A lot. How many of those do you actually talk to face to face? None. Like, they're walking text and passing all these people that they talk to all the time online, but never in the real world. It's like that. There's a big disconnect. That you got to have that social aspect of adapting and seeing what feels good and what doesn't. And, that's one question I ask people is like, if you're trying so hard to be a part of this group, if you don't feel better leaving them, why would you want to be around them anyways? Yeah. It's like the popular kids, they're usually the mean ones. And it's because they got 50 friends that they're disposable. Like, I can call these guys anytime. They're going to come to my house. Screw you. It's like it's pretty wild. And to hear the things that I hear in the junior highs, the way they talk, I didn't hear that stuff till college. Like, that Pornhub and all that's teaching some bad vocabulary. Like, I'm like, you don't even know what that is. Mate, yeah, I do. Like, you better not. Like, jeez. You know, they just you talk. It's crazy. It's scary, and parents think their kids are golden, and, you know, we all want to think that, but people wear a face at home, and they wear a face at school, and they just need to... My wife's amazing at allowing her relationship with her kids is... so open and honest, and they come to her for everything, and they talk about everything, and I'm like, no, we need to have rules. And I was just thinking, like, no, we got to have, if they can't come home and talk to us about this stuff, like, that's what I'm preaching about, but it's so instilled in me that I couldn't do that. So I'm learning all sorts of stuff.
Yeah, because we didn't talk to our parents like that, right? We've Mariah, you know, she did the salty sex cast. It's not around anymore, but hopefully they bring it back.
You know,
yeah. But the way, you know, she came in and we started talking about my daughter's into boys, and I was like, nope. But she's like, no, you're fucking up. You know, and I got a straight up lesson in parenting where she says, no, you go in and you sit on the floor and you talk to your kids, you know, they're above you, and you let them tell you everything. And I says, nah, I don't think that is the way. And I've brought those lessons into my kids, and I'm like, oh yeah, this is the way to get your kids to open up.
Yeah.
You don't shun them for the things that they think, because we all think those things. We all feel those things inside, but just let it out. And you know what? It's changed my life as a parent.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's, you guys have seen Den of Thieves?
Yeah.
When 50 Cent tucks that kid's bandana thing, he's like, let me talk to you for a minute. Takes him in the other room, and all his homies are in there, and just gets on him about that. I'm like, yeah, I'm going to do that. And it's like, if I want my daughter to ever talk to me and be open, I can't do that. Yeah. So navigating, she's 14 now, and I'm almost monthly. I'm like, hey, I do not know what I'm doing right now. So do you want to hang out? Do you want to chill on the couch on your phone? Like, I'm here, but you kind of need to guide me through this, because I want to be a friend. Obviously, you got to be a parent. You got to hold them accountable for some stuff, but I want to know what's going on. I don't want her to fear me.
You're a very very eccentric individual. Where did you guys meet?
You want the full story?
And I asked this because you're a very strong personality individual. You're quite the talker. That's why you do such good podcasts. So we know you can come in here and there's not going to be.
Yeah, just sit there.
Did you watch the game last night? Yeah. Right? We know that we're going to have some good content because you can just keep rapid firing going.
So I was coaching wrestling, and I was at the Legacy Event Center, that big like barn deal in Farmington. And I'm on my phone, and I'm walking, and I looked up, and I saw her butt, and I was like, oh my God. And I'm walking around, and I'm seeing, and she's gorgeous, but I was getting called down to go coach one of my wrestlers. I'm like, I'm going to find her. And
he'll be fine. He'll be fine.
Nice sports bra and tummy showing.
You'll be fine. You got this right. All right. I'll be over here.
Don't get pinned. And so I went down. I came back up. Sure. And
do you need anything?
No, I'm good.
And I came back up, and I couldn't find her anywhere. And I'm like, I was looking. It was an all-day event. And at the end of the day, I couldn't find her, and I'm walking up the stairs, and there she is. But now she's with who I imagine is her son, and two old people, which I know now to be my mother and father-in-law. And so I'm like, trying not to be creepy. I'm walk down, I go out of my truck, and this sounds bad, but it's not as bad as it sounds. But I was like, I'm going to wait here for 10 minutes, and if she comes out, I'm going to talk to her. And she didn't come out, and then I was like,
I'm going to follow
kind of a little prayer to the universe. I'm like, I don't know why I felt something, but I'm like, if I'm supposed to know this woman, put her in my life. Month went by, and I was on Tinder, and this picture comes up, and I'm, man, she looks familiar. And I commented on it on one of her pictures, and she wrote back, and we started talking, and she's very open too. Like, for me, first few conversations, I'm gonna ask all the hard questions. Like, I want to know what you're doing, what you want. Like, I don't want to fall in love and then get all the shit. Like, well, we'll figure that out. Like, no, I've done that too many times. So we're talking, and I'm like, hey, I got to go in a second. I got to go to wrestling. She's like, oh, my boy wrestles. And I'm like, that's probably where I know you. Because we were trying to figure it out. And we didn't run in the same groups at all. And she sends me a picture, and it was of her that day. And I was like, I hope this doesn't sound creepy, but I remember you from wrestling. And so we went on a date, and we went to Market Street, and you got to pay to park. So I'm like, hey, meet me in the parking lot. So when I said that, she said she turned on her location, called like 6 friends, said he wants to meet me in the parking lot. Of course. And I just wanted to pay for her parking.
Yeah.
So she gets out. She's as tall as me. We talked a little bit about, where are we at in the world. And she's a very successful, she was a business owner, sold out, millionaire, flips massive homes, has a big real estate portfolio, way more successful than me. So now I'm insecure. She asked my height. I'm like, I'm 5'8". She's like, I've only dated guys over 6'5". I'm like, fuck.
God damn it. Isn't that the way?
So I'm already just like tippy toeing, like, hey, how was your day?
Oh, of course.
And we got talking, and it just was awesome. And then we talked on the phone the whole way home, and pretty much spent every day since. And I don't want to get too much. Can I tell about your story a little bit? So her late husband committed suicide and did it in front of her. And she has 3 young boys. And it's like, this is exactly, we couldn't have been more perfect for each other. I've been working on that stuff for the last 13 years of my life. I know what that feels like. I know how I could come in. And our relationship is so pure, like, nothing but honesty. You do not do this. And I've never been able to have that.
Right.
Like, they always tell you that, but then you tell the truth and you get in trouble. So it's been hard, but she's just the most compassionate, been through so much stuff, successful in every area of her life. And the love she has for me, I've never felt that. And then to come in with her boys who are they just want to be loved. And we've had a really, really cool startup. And so she's way better than me, and she's good at things that I'm not, and I'm good at things that she's not. And we're both humble enough to share the pants. And, in her former life, she had to be the boss. Like, she's running a multi-million-dollar company, 450 employees, like Real Housewives of Salt Lake City style. And she's found her feminine side and doesn't have to live in that masculine, and helping me find my feminine side and be softer. And like, it's just, this is how relationships are supposed to be. Yeah. So
how long ago was this? You guys met?
About 7 months.
7 months?
Yeah. So, and that sounds crazy, but
no,
the amount of work that you put in, like, where we're at in our worlds and what we're not willing to put up with and what we're willing to do. It was like we had boardroom conversations, like second conversation, like, nah, if any of this stuff isn't real. And then she we didn't want to get married. She wanted to live together first, which is cool too. Cause if you've ever been married and then you got together and you spend some time together, you're like, you're not what you said you were. Oh, you know? Yeah. So, and it just kept getting better.
Shit too? Oh, man.
With the door open?
And it just was like, I just feel so humbled and blessed and just grateful for her and our relationship. She brings so much to my life. And I hate to say this out loud, but I don't know if I've ever been in a relationship where I truly valued the opinion for business or like holding me accountable without back. Well, you do. Like, I really listen when she talks, and she does the same for me.
She calls you out on your shit.
Oh yeah. I don't even have to get mad at it because she's right. It's like, dang, man. So yeah, just super in love and blessed to have Heidi in my life. And Yeah, she's a powerhouse. So yeah, when she gets closer, you guys will have to have her on. She's awesome.
Yeah, for sure.
Absolutely. Sure.
It's kind of cool how you guys, because I actually saw it through your social media.
Yeah.
All of a sudden we're like, wait, he's engaged?
Yeah. Well, wait.
What? And then all of a sudden it's like, they're getting married already? We just met this girl. And by the way, met you through social media, right? He was like, wow, we just met this girl. But I will say one thing. One of the experience that I've had with you, and this is literally the second time we see each other. I went through a rough patch when I got divorced, and I went through like a really low one. He's a witness of it. I came out here and I opened up and I ended up bawling my eyes out. But without you knowing me, you reached out to me and you were like, "You all right?" And I was like, "I don't know. I think so." And again, without knowing me, you were like, "You and I should get together. Let's go out to eat. Let's go out and do this. Let's do." And to me, it was, I think I was at a point in time that I was like, oh, I really need that, especially from someone that is like, that I don't know, because I could just open up and I'm like, kind of like a therapist per se, which I'm still looking for one if you're interested. But I thank you for that, because it was one of those where I was like, oh, I guess you don't need to know somebody to be nice in like a situation where I'm talking about depression and I'm talking about, I really hit rock bottom. And out of all the people, like, you know, my guy over here and some close friends, they were like, we got you, you know, some of them have gone through the same thing, but like you, it was kind of special because I still don't know you, right? Like we know through social media. Yeah. And you were like, you know, I'm here, dude. You want to talk about it? I'm here whenever you want to talk. And I was like, I kind of do want to talk. So thank you. That was one of I will never forget that. I was like, oh, like shit like that to me, it really means a lot.
Yeah. So I call it a blessing and a curse. I think I was so just in my own shit.
So if I called
when
you,
I was
like,
struggling. Yeah. No, I can, and I hate like even saying it, but I can see and feel people's energy. Yeah. In a sense, like I'm so tuned in to what's around me now that I can walk into a room and pick out exactly what's going on with people, and you can put on a fake face and a fake smile, but I feel, because I lived it for so many years. And a lot of times talking to somebody that you don't know and that really doesn't play a part in your life, sometimes it's easier to go all in and be like, I'll never talk to him again. Fuck you. You know, or you build a good relationship and you know that, you know, a lot of people, some of my best friends, I don't see them hardly ever, but I can call them at any time and they'll show up. And that it's like we have our daytime friends, our work friends and all that stuff. But then you got those ones that if you hit rock bottom that you can call and they love you enough to tell you the truth. Yeah. You know, if you're struggling and you're depressed as shit, they don't hand you a joint and a bottle of tequila. Be like, hey, drink it away. Like, yeah, I'm gonna wake up 10 times worse tomorrow. Like, no, it's like let's go box, punch you in your face. You won't be as depressed. You know, it's like, if you're gonna beat yourself up, let me do it for you. Like, at least you'll have an excuse. You know. Yeah. So I tell kids, like, if you next time you think about killing yourself, call me and we'll go spar. They're like, no, I don't want to do that. I know you don't want to hurt yourself either. Like, like you're hurting inside. You want the pain to go away. We don't want you to go away. So stick around. So just remember that I'm a phone call away at any time for either one of you guys. But it's just that it's like going to a single marriage counselor. Like there's people that read about it and then there's people that have been through it. Yeah. And they're not just been through it, but come out the other side. They've done the work to get out of it. It's like time does not heal all wounds. It blurs it, it stuffs it, but unless you dig it out, it's going to come back out at a shitty time in your next relationship, at work when it shouldn't, at a guy who cut you off on the freeway, like, you know. So it's important that you clear your day every day.
Are you getting the phone calls and the texts like throughout the night, in the middle?
Yeah, I've kind of stepped away. I do some one-on-one stuff with people, but I was helping anybody and everybody. And part of that is when you mix energies, man, it's hard to shake theirs. I was doing more work than they were willing to do. It's like, now if you want to work with me, I'm interviewing you. Right. Yeah. If you're not willing to do the work, I'm I got better things to do. I want to go spend time with my wife and my kids.
Yeah.
I don't want to convince you of anything. So if you truly hit rock bottom and you're ready to do whatever I ask you to do, if I tell you to go climb that tree, you go climb the damn tree. And if I tell you to jump out the top, you just need to do it trusting that I have a plan. So I need that type of person around me now.
Yeah.
And so I used to help 10 out of 10 people. Now I'll help 2 out of 10.
It's
just
easier
because
to
they're not
see it right
ready.
at the
Like, save your money.
beginning, right?
Yeah.
Save your money. Go hit rock bottom, hit the real rock bottom. You know, you got the backhoe out there. You're ready to cut one more line. You know, so I'm more selective because I hit rock bottom, man.
Yeah.
Dealing with everybody else's shit, especially working with youth and suicide and stuff.
Yeah.
You see a 12-year-old in a casket. It's just, it's
It
a lot.
weighs on you, right?
It's a lot. Yeah. And if I work with you, if I work with a kid or you, I also want to talk to everybody else who's going to be up in your world. Because if I help you and you're feeling good and you go home and your wife re-indoctrinates you into feeling like a piece of shit, I'm not going to do it because then we're going to have the same damn conversation the next time we meet. Like, how's your week? Oh, man, me and my wife are fighting like we just talked about that. Yeah. Like, then go stay at a hotel for a minute until I can get you in a good place. Right. So it's a community event when I do work with people because it takes a lot. And that's why, another reason I wrote the book, I'm kind of transitioning now to being the guy. I don't want to have to be there. Right. I want you to read through my stuff. If it touches you in the soul and you're ready to do the work, then let's talk, But for my close friends or people that are, reaching out, I always answer the phone.
Yeah. Speaking of jumping out of the tree, you got that video on your social media, jumping out of that cliff. Dude,
did you see one of my daughters?
Yeah, dude.
Right?
Did you see it?
Oh.
I was like,
look up Rope Swing Moab. Those are my boys.
We believe you. You don't have to do it. And you're just like, sometimes you have to.
Yeah.
Like,
my daughter,
Jesus.
she was the first one to jump out of I think there was about 15 of us grown men, toeing the edge, nah, I'm going to wait for a minute. And Sophie's like, I'll go. They're like, how do you want to jump? And will you throw me? So 2 dudes got her and hugged her, looked like a dead body. Whoosh, launched her off, and she's like, wah! Just loved it. She's a fearless little thing. It's in Moab. It's called Rope Swing Moab on Instagram. And I think it's $400 for the first jump, and then I think they charge $75 for the second. But people are like, oh, that's a lot. But it's you go there, especially if you're afraid of heights. You go there, and I promise you, the man who jumps will not be the same one who comes back up. You'll get more therapy in the minute and a half or 2 minutes while you're dangling there doing this thing. Your life will flash before your eyes, and then you'll come back and be like,
that's the thing.
I'm on a safety harness.
I'm not afraid of heights per se, but I'm afraid of the high. You know what I mean? When I see
450 foot drop, 450 feet. And you're going right at this. So it goes down and the rock comes out. And right before you get by it, that's when the rope kicks in and you swing out so far. And it's just super cool. So it's just one of those things. For me, sitting in a therapist's office, it's useful and things like that. But, taking a cage fight off of Facebook
You're
to face my fears
junkie.
or cliff jumping or I got certified as a skydiver because the second you leave that plane, you can't be afraid anymore. You got to figure some shit out or you're going to die. And it just teaches you how, high risk situations, which a lot of us live in that stuff, whether it's friendships or family members or whatever, we got to learn how to just shut it down, slow things down. So fighting for me, jujitsu, things like that, it's slow motion. I don't react out of fear anymore. I react out of confidence. If I see a bad situation, I don't run into it hey, what's going on here? Yeah. I'm like, nah, I'm going to stay over here. It's so all those things for me, it's therapy, especially if my daughter's brave enough, confident enough, and just
at that point you have to go, right? You're
yeah. So we got her into boxing and she wrestles and just does a lot of stuff that I didn't want her to grow up and ever need a man. Be manipulated, not know how to change a tire and not know that it's okay for her if somebody does something then she can choke his ass out and come home and be like, Dad, my boyfriend's dad's gonna be calling you. I don't want to have her coming in crying after some dude because she was insecure, didn't love herself enough to let some dude do something to her, because at that point that's when I have to go get a felony. And I don't want that. I want her to understand situations and understand that it's okay. She can say no and she can leave situations and not hey, let's just go do, I trained her to not date dudes like me. You know, I was that manipulative dickhead.
Me too.
That's
Me
all in the
too.
book. You know, I was not a good dude. You know, so I just want to give her what's really coming down the pipeline conversation and tools, not the, hey, everything's going to be okay, knight in shining armor. It's like, if he's got shining armor, he hasn't done shit. He needs to be dented up and some battle wounds.
Yeah.
So he has some respect. So
life coaching, now you're a quote unquote a writer, you're a podcaster, you're a football coach, you have your own gym. If you have to do one out of all of those, what would it be?
Father,
that's what I said.
husband.
Can I retire
let's
now?
talk-
I'd
we're
rather
talk-
be a
Hey,
father
we're still going,
and a
man.
husband. Yeah, man. Family, the more I get into this thing, is the more, like, at the end of the day, who you're laying your head down next to has got to be number one.
Yeah.
And everything else from that, if that's good, everything else is just a little bit better. You know, if you're fighting at home and fighting, going to work, you're just like, or wanting to be at work longer than you want to be at home, like, it's just all another mask, man. So I'm focused a lot on our relationship and putting her first, because at the end of the day, the kids are going to leave in a little bit. And I want to know, I don't want to be like, oh, I've been a father and I took time away from my wife. You know, I want to be, we're the king, queen of the castle, and teach our kids what they need to know and get them self-sufficient as early as possible, which she's done an amazing job. And so that we're confident when they leave the house. They're not going to be moving back in at 30.
Too, right? 3 boys.
You know, I had a big ego and great ideas, but I didn't want to listen to anybody about the business plan. So I failed a lot in my younger years and wound up on my parents' couch after a lot of fails, you know, multiple times. And the last time was at 31 years old, needle in my arm and newly divorced. Like, at some point I need to shut up and get out of my own way. So, you know, I think just this relationship right here, and then I know whatever happens is gonna be good. And you know, I'm getting to be a student again, learning from her, and it's just something powerful about not being in charge.
Always learning.
That's
Always taking
student
information.
forever.
And opinions and
You know,
and,
being around a new sport. I didn't play football or anything. I'm the freaking head coach. They're like, do you have a playbook? I'm like, nope, but I'm going to find a dad that does. So I got these cool dads that come in and they're killing it. And we're 5-1. They went 2-8 all season last year.
Wow.
We're put up with the big kids. The A1 team, we're a D4. Wow. So we got put in the big leagues. Wow. And because of the start of the season, and seeing these kids and being in a new environment and with people that don't know me, you know, Davis County, I can go around and people know who I am, so they're going to listen a little bit more. I'm just some tattooed dude in Harriman, and it's been a cool experience to make new friends and learn from that, learn from her boys, and it's just, I just like the farther down this mental health road I get, the more I know I don't know, and that's a great place to be.
Yeah.
When you know everything, you're fucked. That's gonna be God's gonna be like, okay, fall from grace, whap. You know,
it's true.
So
true.
Take care of those around you, and you'll never be homeless.
Wow.
So what's next for the tattoo coach?
Man, we were talking about it. We were kind of like in limbo. You know, we're actually moving my gym to Daybreak, and I have a partner in the gym, but I've been like in that place where like I stepped down from wrestling coaching, and like my daughter's gonna be playing sports. My son's gonna be wrestling too. It's like I want to go see my kids.
Yeah.
I've put in a lot the last 13 years of my life to my community, and not saying that I haven't got some props back or whatever, but it's time to give back to my family and me. So I've been waiting for the book to come out and see what that does, because it's kind of like a business card for the next level of speaking and bigger stages and obviously more money and things like that. So I was waiting, like, if this book bombs, I have to go back to work. So we're looking good. So I'm hoping to just get on bigger stages.
Yeah.
Put together some coaching programs that people can do online, so I can make money whether I'm here in Switzerland or with my wife, and let her lead the way. And she's getting ready to get back on the horse, and we're finding that she's enjoyed some time off, and she's retired and she doesn't need to work and things like that. But part of who she is she thrives when
driven.
doing.
Yeah.
So it makes her happy. And although we'd love to spend every second and do everything together, I've really today saw the passion and her happiness spike when she's giving back. So I'm going to have to give some of my time back. And no, but it's just cool. I'm just freaking grateful and humbled by this experience. And I don't know.
Okay.
I just get prompted, and whatever comes next, I just try and act on it. When I plan, shit gets fucked up.
Yeah.
God's plan for me, it's just do the next right thing.
Here's my question. You can just kind of turn your head to this one. So when are we getting back in the ring?
I know. I was thinking about
know,
that, man.
right?
I wanted one more.
Back,
Just one more. Just one more.
Yeah.
On the
So,
ring?
yeah, I was thinking about it, and like I'm a better fighter now than I ever was when I was actually fighting.
Of course.
Like I've been a wrestling coach for the last decade, 6 months out of the year, and it's like you don't have to get stronger; you just get smarter. Like I see things differently now.
10 steps ahead.
Yeah.
No?
So with jiu-jitsu and things like that, I can roll with guys. And I don't really have any formal jiu-jitsu training, just some YouTube stuff and goofing around doing my MMA stuff, but never like been coached or any of that stuff. And
And you're good with that?
we're going to go start doing jiu-jitsu.
Never mind.
Yeah.
Let's bring this.
You won the
Here
lottery.
we go.
So I think about it, and then I think of the
Because my
the
wife
weight
would be
cut.
like, listen here, motherfucker. If somebody would ask me that question in front of her, listen here, shut your mouth.
He needs to go cook.
So,
Yeah. So I
because
think
you look
about it.
good. You look good.
If I were to do it, I'd have to make sure I'm not cutting weight, and whoever I'm fighting needs to be at their walking weight. That weight cut is just almost died my last one. I started warming up, and I started like getting lightheaded
Big
and
problem.
stuff.
It's a big problem. in
And my
sport,
coach
man.
is like, I'm like, dude, I can't even do this. He's like, we've been hit and miss for 45 seconds. We normally warm up for 45 minutes, go in sweating. And he's like, well, looks like you got one round. Luckily, I knocked the kid out in 38 seconds. But when I went home, I blacked out. And the night
much weight did you
before,
cut?
20 pounds in 4 days, 8 hours in the sauna. So that's what happened is I had taxed my heart so much, I had a heart murmur. So I had to wear a monitor,
Hey, we're in the
go
same
through all
team.
these things. And I was like, man, it is just not worth it. If somebody wants to have to do it and not cut weight.
I got one of those.
And,
Cool kids
and
have
that, but like I spar and stuff like that. But I think if anything, and I got a fused neck now too, which I got a
Okay, well,
question.
maybe.
That's what I like.
Maybe
I
football
want to do
coaching's
it.
not so bad.
Yeah.
Maybe
So
I
there's
take that back. I take that back. I'm sorry. I guess I didn't know the whole perspective of what it's talking
I got
about.
nice
So,
slit across my throat.
when are we
and
going
hardware.
golfing? By the way,
Yeah. So I would still rock climb and do some other stuff. I just came from rock climbing with a young client. Love that. And
still got the
wrestling,
KTM.
jiu-jitsu. I bought the 2023 factory edition.
Oh,
350. It
yeah.
is so sexy. So yes, and then her boys have motorcycles.
Do they?
Like yeah, we got
Dude.
surrounds of motorcycles. My daughter's got one. Like we just everything just fit. I was writing a book. She's writing a book. Like she coaches, I coach. Like it's just super cool.
When are you moving the gym?
Our last day, we got to be out October 31st.
What's coming then?
Yeah.
Holy shit! Do you
going
have a place
We're
picked in?
we're looking at a spot over I don't even know where it is. Daybreak. Like the new B Stadium's going up across the street and
yeah.
it's going to be we'll have to bump up the popularity because we've been onesie twosies like higher end stuff, but we'll need to run it. And my partner wants to do more MMA stuff, so we're looking at two facilities that are side by side. So we'll have the gym in one, and people who come to work out, they don't necessarily like to watch people fighting, and stuff like that. So we have a little separation. We'll do all pads and padded walls,
I might
so
have to
he can
tag
do
along
that kid
on that.
stuff. And
Because so my mother lives in Daybreak, and it's a lot closer to me than where you're at.
Yeah. So, and I think just training in MMA, having some brothers and training partners where you get to go 50, 60, 70%. Some days it gets a little more, but you hug after and you get to go home at the end of the night.
Yeah.
You're not going with a broken nose and bloody sinuses. And, it's a lot when you're in there going 100% with people. And now amateurs, there's head kicks and all that where they weren't when I was fighting.
Right.
It's just like, man, as much as I want to get in there, I don't want to get head kicked. Because for me, fitness in general, that's my mental health tool, number one.
Yeah.
And when I'm out, dude, I struggle. I've tore my bursa and all that stuff. That's what this tape's for. And I haven't been able to work out for like 6 weeks. Dude, I'm losing my mind. So it's like consequences, reward. Like I weigh those a little more now. I'm about to be 46 years old, and I like my life, and I just need to pump the brakes sometimes.
It's hard to do,
When
though,
that-
right?
Yeah.
When that hard copy comes out, we're gonna have to put one over here as a
Yeah.
as
I'm not saying it
decoration.
because it's mine, but it's a good book.
No, I'm.
you have to.
So you can get on Amazon right now.
Yep. $1.99 today.
$1.99.
Tomorrow it's Gonzo.
Well, it goes up on Monday, so it's not going to be $1.99.
Oh yeah, it won't be up. So today's the
Well,
last
good thing
day.
you brought her, huh?
Yeah. Today it'll be $1.99. You go on to just onto my Facebook or Instagram or whatever, and get on that. But for people that are gonna be looking, I think it's still only gonna be like $6.99 for the Kindle version.
Okay.
But you don't need a Kindle. You can read it on your phone
Just
or
read it on your
whatever.
phone, right?
That just you go to the app and it lets you do it on any device. And then the hard copy will be out. I don't know. They said a week or two. And that'll be also available on Amazon. It'll be on my stuff. So if people want it, check me out on Instagram and
Absolutely.
do all that. So.
One question I want to ask you, and I knew you would be the guy to ask. We talk about people in recovery, and I near and dear, I have somebody I love very much who's battling, who is getting on that track to they're fixing their life. Everybody asks the question, well, what do you say to an individual who is recovering? Like, what's your best advice? My question is, what is the advice you would give to people who love an individual in recovery?
So there's a group called Al-Anon, and that teaches them how to live with people like that. Because what we do is we love people and we want it more than they want it. So I tell people, if you've reached out and they're not listening and don't expend your resources until they're ready. Love them, but you don't have to go around and pick up their mess. Like, don't rob them of their natural consequences, but let them know, I love you. I'm here when you're ready. So many people get sent to rehab. They come out day one and relapse because they did it for their parents. They did it for court or whatever. It can be harmful because then you get resentment. You put money out that is going to be needed in a couple of months when they actually are ready. Right. Just remind him he's worth it. He can do it. You got his back, but you're not going to have the same conversation over and over and over again. Don't call me when you're drunk. Don't call me when you're messed up. Call me when you're sober, and I'm happy to talk through it. If you want to ride to rehab, I got you. I'll take you to the hospital. I'll buy you some food, but I'm not going to. I can. And it's even hard for me, but most individuals are not emotionally equipped to deal with a mentally ill person. Not when they're active.
Right.
So love them from afar, remind them they're worth it, send a text message, whatever. And when that time comes, you're going to be the first one to pop into their head. But when you get in there and you push and push and push and show emotion, all that does to me when I was using is it makes me feel worse. Like, I love you too, and I'm making you feel this way. Like, I'm out. Yeah. I'm going to distance myself, and now I'm even more isolated. Like, we already know we're screwing up. Don't remind us. Yeah. Just let them know, hey, thinking about you, love you. Call me if you need anything. And that doesn't mean bailed out of jail. That doesn't mean let them sit. Let them dry out. Like, they'll remember that shit. So, yeah, don't not love them, but people work so hard at putting in that when the time finally comes, they're like, "Nah, we tried to help you for the last 2 years." It's like, you're right, but I wasn't ready then. I'm ready now. You know, and make them prove it that they're ready. You know, not just after a bad bender and they're poisoned, liver's about to pop. You know, so but that's what I tell you too is if there is real need. Call somebody who's in the industry. Yeah. You know, you're not equipped. I'm not saying you, but people in general.
No, it's
you know,
true.
It's emotionally damaging, and they're not trying to hurt you. Yeah. It's just we become something that we're not. Right. It's that Jekyll and Hyde, and they're clearly in a place where they're carrying enough weight as is, and lightening the load for a minute gives them a false sense of comfort, and so Yeah.
Beautiful.
Send them to AA, drop them off, whatever. Go sit with them in an AA meeting. You know, show them, give them the resources, and then when they're ready, they'll act on it.
I like it.
Changing completely the subject. You were talking about Matthew McConaughey. The first time you were here, didn't you tell us that's your man crush?
That was your man crush, right?
Maybe. I don't
I think
know.
so, because I remember.
I'm pretty sure.
I
I'm
remember
pretty sure.
there's one Matthew McConaughey
Yeah,
out there.
because we asked that to everybody. Who was your man crush? And 9 times out of 10, we get the goddamn Rock.
Yeah.
I'm so fucking tired of hearing about the Rock. Every once in a while, we get one outside of the box, and I'm pretty sure he said Matthew
I think
McConaughey.
you said Matthew McConaughey.
How about you? Who's your woman crush?
Kim Kardashian.
See, I'm more of a Chloe kind of girl.
I like Chloe too. Yeah.
Always hot. The hottest for me. But.
I mean, she's a linebacker. True and foul. Let's
She actually,
Right.
she's
Right.
Have you
Come
seen her
on.
lately? Like she's not the one that was dating Lamar.
Thank
I
you.
didn't even recognize her. I'm
Thank
like, that
you.
is
She
not.
got them alien hands still. Then
I don't know.
That
I just,
cryptic
I,
fucking
you ain't looking at the
alien.
hands. What are you
That
talking
was
about?
come on.
Did you see her feet? No, I didn't.
Angel did.
Yeah,
Angel did.
I'm pretty sure I know it by heart. But
Yo,
anyway.
Warrior in the Garden.
Yep.
Get it now, Amazon.
Yep.
When the hard copies come out, we'll share a link.
Awesome. Yeah, I've got
we'll share
links
a
on
link
my
to this as
social.
well.
Yep. So Rob Eastman on Facebook and Tattooed Life Coach and the number 8 on Instagram.
No, we appreciate you coming, man.
Hey, this is
Yeah,
your home.
thank you.
Anything,
Yeah,
anything
appreciate
you want,
that.
just let us know. Shoot us a text.
I know we hadn't talked for a long time, and I threw it out, and you're like, "Yeah, let me see." So
absolutely.
I really appreciate that.
What about you? You want to shout out or scream where they can find you or not? Or
Yeah.
business?
Get over here, my queen.
I'm connected to his page, so I'm Heidi McNulty on Facebook and Heidi McNulty on Instagram.
Awesome.
And the book's coming out.
It depends. So originally we were gonna have it come out in November, but I may be on a TV show here in Salt Lake, and if I get the TV show, then we're gonna wait for my book launch till after the show
Are
launches.
you serious?
Yeah,
The one you mentioned earlier?
possibly.
Are you going to be in there?
We don't know yet.
No comment.
Yo,
No
we're-
comment.
You let us know. We will
Yeah.
do what we have to do to get that ball rolling.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, you
That'd
guys
be-
like her story. She's way out of my league.
Well,
No,
you guys
you
are
guys-
going to have to come back.
You guys have an amazing story as a couple, individually.
Okay, that was gross.
But you can tell from the last time you were here to now
Hey, Justin.
what it
Kiss me. Just kidding.
what a life changing experience you've had. You know, when we got to say, well, he's got a book coming out, but you're not the same guy that sat here last time. So
appreciate
congratulations on everything.
Thank you.
Again, come back and yeah.
You can find me on Angel Cervera on Instagram, Angel Cervera on Facebook. That's my last name, Cervera.
You can find me on the gram. That's Lord_long_balls with a Z. That's where you find me. Go and share. Go give us a like. Go give us a share. We will we'll share the links to the book and everything that you do. And again, thanks for coming, man.
Yeah, thank you guys.
Until
Appreciate
next
it.
time, take care of yourselves out there, and we will see you on the other side of the Beehive.
Peace.